Hey guys, this is Galen here with our Man of Steel Season 1, Episode 9, Plan Elimination Review. Now, here, let me adjust this a little bit. Okay, so, Man of Steel, this is the first episode we've received in a while since the crossover, so I was kind of curious to see how things were going to go, because I heard the second half was going to be stronger than the first half, and I was curious if that was going to be the case. Now, so far, the Man of Steel series has been pretty good. It's had its missteps, and there's things that Cliff Ellsworth, the director, needs to learn from in the second season going in, but so far, it's been a good series, and this week continued because the Plan Elimination episode turned out to be pretty good, and did more than I expected to continue the story. I'll get to what I'm referring to in a moment. Now, first off, there was pretty much most of what we got this week was Jimmy and Eric basically going to try to see if they could find out more stuff for Superman, and Stoner and Barman kind of basically monitoring them, which kind of culminated in a final showdown, which I'll also get to a little bit later. And then basically the main focus with Superman, where Superman went after the Lex Corpman, and then the whole big fight happened at the end. Now, the Jimmy and Eric part of the episode this week. I'm liking Jimmy and Eric so far. I think that they make pretty good characters. I think they've been making pretty good characters. I think they're doing a pretty good job with Jimmy, and even though I feel like I kind of wish he'd gotten to do more in this season. I mean, he doesn't really get a whole lot of time with Clark, and it's mostly Jimmy and Eric who are by themselves. I'd kind of like to see more of Jimmy and Clark together, moving on in the future if they do another season, which I'm pretty sure they will. But overall, they've done a pretty good job with Jimmy. I feel like they've done his personality pretty good, and we're getting to see more of him and Eric lately. I like Eric because he was a new created character for the show. And I feel like they're starting to do. At first, he felt too much just like basically a duplicate version of Jimmy, and I'm not sure really why we had it. I mean, I wasn't really sure what we needed both of those characters for. But Eric is kind of become more of a separate character now, and I said this in numerous reviews, but I like the dynamic between Jimmy and Eric. I think they make for a pretty fun duo. In contrast to Barman and Stoner. It's kind of like with Barman and Stoner and Jimmy and Eric, it's kind of like they're the opposite. It's like the two groups who are like rivals. And I think it's kind of fun. I'll get to that more in a moment, actually. But anyways, I like both of the characters, and I think they're doing a good job of giving them more things to do lately. I do kind of hope we get a little more with them other than them kind of looking for answers, or basically having some direction with it, because that's kind of what they've been doing most of the time we've seen them lately. But I do like that they're getting to do stuff, and I really do like both characters. I think that they're both starting to have their own personalities and starting to have their own, basically their own thing, their own part of the show. So, yeah, so far I like both of them together as a duo. Now, there wasn't a whole lot to their part of the episode this week until around the last quarter. We got basically them going out to try to help Superman more. I'm just gonna throw this out real quick. We got to see Jimmy interact with Perry White a little bit. I like Perry White a lot. I think he even though he's not like a part of the action of the episode, or like in the main story, I feel like he adds humor I like to the series, and there was like Perry White saying that Superman basically should go back to school if he wanted to learn more about the Yellow Lanterns. Things like that, I think. They're doing a good job with Perry White. I like him a lot. I think he's funny. And I liked the bit we got to see with Jimmy and Perry White, because we haven't got to see a whole lot of that. we haven't got a whole lot on the show of seeing really much of the characters' lives outside of the whatever's going on. I hope that they kind of do a little more with that in season 2, because I would like to see more of that. I'd like to see more of the characters just kind of living life apart from this. But yeah, I like the little bit we got to see of Perry White and Jimmy interacting, basically. So yeah, there was a lot of humor with Jimmy this week too that I liked. I like that I really like that the Man of Steel series is putting humor in the show. I think that they're getting the Superman tone down. I mean, they're really nailing the tone of Superman to me. And I think Jimmy adds a lot of humor to the show that I like. So, yeah, we got some good, funny scenes with Jimmy this week. And then Jimmy and Eric, when they were looking to see, basically going back to the Yellow Lantern, the power plant area where the Yellow Lantern was a electric building, one of the two. I can't remember exactly how they've been wording it, but it was interesting kind of seeing if they were gonna figure out anything, which I guess will just go ahead and lead me to Barman and Star. One, we got some. Wow, this I'm having a hard time with this review because it's like all the characters connected to each other, and I'm like, I jump from one character to another, and I'm trying to stay on track of that character, so this is kind of hard to do. But, I think the whole thing, basically, just the whole thing with Jimmy and Eric's investigation this week, I liked how it led up to the kind of showdown between Eric and Jimmy and Barman and Star, because it's like there's a rivalry between those two guys, those two groups, those two duos. It's like they're the opposite of each other, like I was saying. And it's kind of like they play off each other pretty well. It's like Lex Luthor is the enemy of Superman, and they're the enemy to Eric and Jimmy, and I like that. I think that I like that they added this to the show. I like it. I think it makes for a fun dynamic and everything. And that said, though, I was kind of wondering where it was going to go. Because I was saying, okay, I don't think they're going to kidnap. I obviously know they're probably not going to kill Eric and Jimmy. Speaking of which, that idea that Stoner had, I was thinking at first, I mean, they're going to see a piece of paper that says to go somewhere because it says Superman said it, and they're going to go, and that doesn't seem suspicious. But then I was thinking to myself, I actually could see Superman doing that. I mean, he does that kind of thing. I could see Superman flying by and leaving a piece of paper that said to go somewhere, and he probably didn't want, like, the Yellow Lanterns. If that had been him, he probably wouldn't have wanted the Yellow Lanterns to see him. So he was probably telling them to. I mean, he could have been telling them to come. I mean, I could see it after I thought about it. I could see Superman doing that. It kind of fits his character, and so it was actually strangely clever. It's like I was at first like, but then I was like, I don't know, actually, maybe this works. And then I was like, actually, that was really clever. It's basic, but it works. It, like, really makes sense. So, I had to agree with Storm. That was a pretty clever idea. But anyways, I think we got a lot of fun moments like that in the whole thing with both Jimmy and Eric and Barman and Star. I really like Barman and Star, too. Not just as as rivals to Eric and Jimmy, but I think that they're both, Barman being the more serious one, and Stoner being the more humorous, not all too bright one. With Gaizo, who's doing a really good job of playing him, I really hope both characters are brought back for the second season, because I really like them. I enjoy their characters a lot. And I think that there's more they can do with this rivalry they have going on. Now anyways, the showdown between, basically, the resulting showdown when they realized that it wasn't Superman, when Eric and Jimmy realized it wasn't Superman who had basically told them to come, it was pretty cool. We got some action here, not like a hand-to-hand combat action, but, you know, like, basically them trying to get away from Barman and Star. As I was saying, I wasn't sure this was going to go at first, because I didn't think that they were going to wind up killing, I didn't think that they were going to kill Eric and Jimmy. So I found it, I was thinking, how is this going to relate to the story? Yes. Hold on a second.